Hey guys, it's Peggy Dean. I am showing you today some really elegant looking place cards, and they are going to be watercolor and then with some pretty calligraphy, and then also some gold foil is what we're going to use. So I want to go over materials with you, which you can find links for below in the description if there's anything that you want to grab. So the first thing that you will need is paper, and these are going to be place cards that are tented, so they will sit up like this on the table so that you can clearly see the name both from above and from in front. This paper is from Fabulous Fancy Pants. Again, all these links are going to be below. So they actually make these and they come tented. Otherwise you can grab that paper any size that you want, and they come in different thicknesses also. And then I'm going to be using a pointed pen for the calligraphy that I do. This is an oblique holder, which means that it'll be offset. These are beautifully made by Ink Me This, and the link is below. And then I've got my Nico G nib. I also have a protector here for watercolor splash or ink splash, something that's not going to get on my desk. The watercolor that I'm using will be primarily green. I've got all my greens here by Daniel Smith Watercolors. The colors that I am using I will mention and then also list them below. And then for my paintbrush, I'm using the Pigeon Letters paintbrush. These are cruelty-free paintbrushes that are pure synthetic, round brushes. And I'm also going to use the Nouveau gilding flakes. This stuff is really messy, so if you do end up using it, do make sure that you are keeping it condensed. Don't have a fan on in the room, things like that, but it goes a long way. This stuff will last you literally life. I think that is it, so let's dive on in. The first thing that I want to do is lay down my watercolor, and these are going to be, I'm going to do some greenery, and it's going to cover both sides. So what I want to do is have some greenery on this side that comes and peekaboos onto the part where the name is going to show. So I'm going to dip my brush, and when you dip your paintbrush, you want to make sure that you're fully saturated. So I usually roll it along the sides so that it will get water deep into the center of the bristles as well. For my branch, I'm going to do some branches, and this color is Hematite Violet. So I'm just going to bring, with the tip of my brush, this really pretty, it's kind of like a cool tone brown. I'm going to bring that through. And then when I do branches, I want to make sure that the any twigs that are coming off still go in the natural growth direction. So wherever your leaves are going to be coming off of, you want it to come off the stem, off and out, instead of just coming straight out. That way it looks a little more realistic. Not that we're going for a realistic award, but you get it. I like to start on the crease so I know how it's going to look as it's coming down, and then work my way. And then I'm going to use a Cascade green, and this green is really, really pretty, especially for those elegant greens. It's got a blue undertone and some gradation, so there will be some points where it actually separates, which is really cool. But to do these leaves, I'm just applying pressure and then lifting up as I get toward the end, and then doing it on the other side and meeting it at the tip. I like to kind of play with the opacity, so some of these are super saturated with pigment, and then some of them are a little bit more translucent. And I will say that handmade paper is a little more difficult, so you kind of have to force in some of that water. It's a little less porous on the surface, but once you get it situated, it'll dry really beautifully. I actually think that the quality of how handmade paper handles watercolor is really unique. And you can't really get this effect anywhere else because it's like kind of like the dry brush look, but there's a lot more texture, and it just makes for a lot of interest in your watercolors. Okay, so now I'm just going to create a few more of these. I might vary the colors or the leaf shape, but I think actually for these I might keep them pretty basic because I like how this is looking. And I don't want to overload it, I just want this to be pretty simple, so I'm not going to do too much, just a couple branches on each one. And it's cool too because as you go, like I could easily do calligraphy here. So if I have it like that, that makes for a really pretty frame, but I could also do it like this where that's coming from the back. So you can choose how that's going to look as you go, how it just kind of organically comes together. And I'm moving these because although I could pull it down, it's just easier for me to drag away from myself this way, so don't think that you have to work that way. It's just moving your paper can work in your benefit. Okay. Oh, see, and then I make that mark. Whenever that happens, if it's something big, although you're able to pick that up because I made that, I can choose to do a couple of things. I can either make that into another leaf situation here, or I can create some splatter, which might actually look really cool, but you know, watercolor uh-ohs happen, so it's good to know how to handle those. So I'm just going to saturate with a lot of water on my brush and get some paint, and then I'm just going to hover over and do a couple of splatters. And then suddenly I've changed the way that it looks, but that is definitely okay. I'll do a couple on the front here, and same on this one. Just a few, there we go. And then because that's larger, I might just make one more so it looks intentional. See, there's now a couple different sizes there. Okay, so that looks good. I'm gonna do some more of these, and then once I have the amount that I want, I will show you the variation that it created and how they're all very unique and different, but still cohesive as a set. There are a couple ways that I can go about doing this, but I'm just going to use a glue pen, and this is a Tombow glue pen, and it works just the same as like a regular ballpoint pen. They also have the Quickie roller glue set, or glue stick, or glue roller something or other. That one works really well too. I'm gonna move some of these out of the way and start off. I'm gonna get my foil over here. So I'm gonna lay this down where I want the gold flakes to go. And I'm just going to roll some of this glue, and you can use regular glue stick too. Probably be even easier, but for some reason I wanted to use this. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna open this up, and you can see that all you need is just a small pinch of this and just put it down where the glue is, and then just brush the excess off very lightly. You can use a dry brush to do this too. But then you have just a small accent of gold on there, and you can add that to whatever area that you want to. So I might add some in here, right around where my leaves are. And then you can brush off the excess. Like that. So I'm just going to add these throughout a couple of areas. Brush off the excess. Like that. So that one is done for me. I don't want to add too much of this. I just want it to be an accent. So I'm going to move that and then grab another one and do the same thing. Okay, once the gold flakes are on, it is a good idea to clean up all that excess, otherwise it will start getting places that you will find 6 months later. So I'm going to clean that up, and then I'll start doing the calligraphy. And then I'm using the platinum carbon ink in black. And I usually just fill the cap a little bit. Ideally, you would not spill it all over the place. I'm the worst, as you can see. I am very messy. For these, because I want them to have more of a whimsical feel, I'm going to create this calligraphy a little bit more, wispy. And that is it. And then they will sit up and be tinted just like so. So I hope that that inspired you guys, gave you an idea. And if you want to see some more tutorials and inspiration, please, please, please thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you next time.